I guess I can see it right here. What you gotta do is go over here. Go live. Go over here. Go live. Bam. Yeah. B. Set these up. Put here. When that is 3 comments. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Alright, let's just give it 10 more seconds or so. Where's the counter? Right there. There it is. It's like I should be able to see it. Where is it? Okay. Opening. Ready, set, go.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Rainbow Soul Astrology Forecast. I am Hollis Taylor and I am one of the astrologers here today. We are doing this again live. I'm so glad you all are tuning in. We appreciate you. And we hope that this astrology forecast won't feel too much like Greek to you, and instead will help you navigate your week and you'll better understand what's going on. Welcome, Megan Lloyd. I'm glad you're tuning in. And
hi there, I'm Bright Hawk. You can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. I'm a musician, an artist, a storyteller, author of the book The Dancing Hippo, which makes a great gift if you're looking for what to give your little one in your world. It's a really fun book, and you can see more about that at brighthawkproductions.com.
Indeed. So, if you're if you're interested in having a reading or anything like that regarding astrology, a personal reading, you can find the link in the comments or in the description. We're sorry that Lacrosse is unable to join us. We're all having our own individual challenges. Hi, Sydney. I'm glad you're here. So I'm hoping to be able to better catch the questions while we're talking, so that we can navigate through this and answer your questions as we're going through the forecast. We're going to essentially do a forecast for the coming week astrologically. It's sort of like, listening to the weather, except it's about the astrology. So it will be about the energetics of you and the people around you. And, so it'll probably affect things like work and home and things like that. Okay. So first I'd like to invite you all to have a little take a deep breath. I hear you, Megan. You're not the only one. Let's take a deep breath and just center. We're going to take this moment to get quiet in our bodies, to feel our tension run off of us, as if we're in a shower of music. And as the music embodies you can imagine imagine yourself under the night sky. And you are walking your path, and you decide to have a quiet seat. With the leaves mostly fallen off the trees, and the chill in the air, you feel safe and relaxed with the night sky above you, with stars that seem to go on forever. And as you're staring up at the stars and the moon is glowing off to the side, you begin to see a constellation that highlights itself, gets bigger and closer to you, that morphs into a scorpion, reminding you of the zodiac sign Scorpio. You can feel the intensity of that scorpion just on the edge in front of you. But it also reminds you of your inner knowing, your deep thinking, your instinct, and the part of you that investigates and looks deeper into things. And two planets zoom out of the sky, and they show their connection around the scorpion. And one of those planets is bright red, spinning around, moving very fast, reminding you of fast action, of sudden events. And showing you that sometimes conflict happens. While opposite, another planet, much cooler now, moves much slower, known as the Pluto. And Pluto speaks to transformation and change, deep, intense change, changes that are forever and always, changes can sometimes be hard, usually for the better. Pluto reminds us of life and death. Holding us in its embrace as these two planets intensify and the Scorpio energy intensifies. We can be reminded that life is never boring. And that intensity and that inner look, that inner deep work is meant to help us move forward. Helping us to walk in our best selves. Helping us to walk in integrity and strength, represented by Scorpio. Knowing our boundaries and knowing our limits, we are reassured that the journey through Scorpio is always leading us to good boundaries and resilience. As the two planets return to the sky, and Scorpio joins the rest of the constellations in the sky, leaving you with a sense that everything unfolds. No doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And as you come back into your body, feel your feet on the floor. And take a deep breath and become centered again in your body. Wiggle your fingers. And stretch and come back to your space in the here and now. Open your eyes. Come back to the here and now. Welcome everyone. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody suggested that somebody on YouTube, but I didn't listen to it on YouTube. Ed Cat saying that the music was cutting out. So I'll listen to it again, Ed Cat, but when I listened to it on Facebook last week, I didn't hear that. So I'm wondering if So I don't know.
That would be a bummer, but thanks for letting us know.
But thanks for letting me know. Thank you. Maybe it's doing it like after it starts. I'm not sure I listened to the whole thing. Welcome, Bianca. I'm glad you're here. You don't have your birth chart with you. Well, yeah, it is good to print it out if you're learning and you're listening to this broadcast. I think it was really easier to learn when it was printed out. You could make notes on it. Especially like if some of the symbols you're like, what is that? Why do I keep forgetting that symbol? You could just kind of write in what it is,
Sure.
because there's a lot of symbols on a chart. It can kind of look like Greek, but really they're just symbols. And a lot of them are like old symbology of planets. Like Mars is the masculine, it's the symbol for male. Venus is the symbol for woman. So the moon looks like the moon.
I know. Not only do you have to learn a new language, you have to learn all the symbology. It is part of what scares people, I think, from astrology. But we try to break it down for you so that you understand what's coming up for the week, how to make the most of the week, if you will, find the blessings, acknowledge where there might be challenges. That's why we try to do this every week. And obviously we go Monday to Sunday in our broadcasts. So this week, of course, we're going to be seeing the sun move into Scorpio out of Libra. And of course, our Libra lacrosse will give a wave out to and a happy birthday month to all the Libras, including lacrosse. And of course, Libra, last week we had a really intense full moon and a grand cross, which I'm sure everybody felt some intensity last week. It's hard not to. On the heels of the eclipses, there was just a lot of energy. Grand crosses, 2 oppositions, that makes for some challenging times. And some of those oppositions are still in play this week.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at that.
Yeah.
But we also have some really big blessings. We have a bunch of grand trines. We have grand trine in water, 2 of them, and a grand trine in fire. So anybody who has water signs, which is, of course, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Sorry,
yeah.
Duh. Of course, in the astrology and in the zodiac, we talk about the elements: air, earth, fire, water. There's 3 zodiac signs for each of the elements. We talk about the quality cardinal, which is the seasons, the ones that begin the seasons, right? And then fixed and mutable, or mutable and fixed, I should say. I don't know which one comes first.
I don't know that it matters.
Fixed is that follows mutable.
It's actually technical: cardinal, fixed, mutable, if you wanted to do it that way.
So these are all the things that help us understand the conversation in the stars. And your chart, which I really hope you have had a chance to go to any number of free services on the web and check out your chart, figure out what your big 3 are: sun, moon, and rising, so that when we talk about this stuff, you have an idea of, oh yeah, I have such and such placements in Scorpio, or we're coming out of the Aries Libra eclipses. So if you have the placements in those signs, you're definitely going to feel it. And then, of course, this week we're talking about Libra. The sun is leaving Libra. It's going into Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by 2 rulers, which was what the meditation was all about.
Yeah, so I just want to answer Chelsea's question.
Yeah,
she says, what is the best way to get your birth chart? Honestly, a lot of people get confused by like different house systems and stuff. And when you're new, it's best to just go with the standard. So Chelsea, I would strongly suggest that you go to astro.com. That's the most respected website by professional astrologers. Astro.com has like, it pretty much has everything you need. It's the very basic. And I would suggest that once you go there and get it, it's free, that you print it out so that you can have it with you when you're listening to something like this, so we can try to help you. I'm glad everyone's here. Hi, Sydney and Lonnie. And hi, Megan. Megan has a Scorpio sun, apparently, like a child that's a Scorpio. Anyway, so I want to show the
chart.
Yeah,
For
the
this
charts
week?
for this week. But here we go. All right. All right. Okay. And then it's sometimes hard to see questions while we're doing this, but I'm going to give it a try. But first, this, we're starting off, like Bright Hawk said, with the sun in Libra. And this is today, right? Okay. Um, for the most part, I see a lot of those blue lines, which are trines. So while planets matter, when it matters what planet is in what zodiac, yes. But what's more important is the energy of that planet, and that's based on the aspect here. So, in the aspect are those little lines, okay? And I know it looks a lot like Greek to you, but some of the things you're going to know, like take a look around, you can find the moon over there, and it's in Gemini, and that's what that symbol is, the number 2 there. That's Gemini, okay? So Jupiter is also in Gemini, which Jupiter has that symbol of the number 4. So you can see that we're starting out that today the moon's in Gemini. And you can also see the male symbol at the top, which is Mars. And if you look directly across, there's sort of a red symbol that kind of, is holding a circle at the top, and that's Pluto. It's directly across the sky there from Mars. And if you look at the sun, it's also easy to find, and that's over there in Libra. It's just a circle with a dot. And Venus is that little female sign, which is the circle with the plus sign, of course. Okay. So look, you already know half of the symbols. Okay. So they're just symbols to help read it faster. That's all it is. And so just try to simplify it for you a little bit. That's what we do in our 101 class. I put a link to our 101 class. And so if you wanting to learn astrology, just look in the comments. I added a link to my website where we have our 101 class for sale. But this week it's going to start out, for the most part, most of your days are going to be pretty decent this week. They're going to be mostly okay. Now, it could be challenging for people that have strong Capricorn placements, especially late degree Capricorn placements, late degree Cancer placements, or even people with late degree Gemini, just because Jupiter's retrograde over there. And I think those are where the intensity is really happening right now. That's where you'll feel things. You may feel things if you're a Libra, maybe. It will depend on, because right now on Monday we're starting out with a Libra sun, and it's in a T-square with Mars and Pluto. And those are those red lines you can see. And that's the conversation that they're having, right? Nadia Shah describes it as a conversation. And that's sort of the energy of those planets and how they're expressing themselves in this time. Now, Mars is usually action. It's also conflict and war. If you've watched the news this week, it's not hard to see that war is getting worse, not better. And that's Mars and Pluto opposite each other. Okay.
And a T-square to the sun.
Right. But I think that so Mars is not perfectly across the sky. You can see that male symbol up there. It looks like red. It has the number 24. And you can see the other symbol directly across, which is Pluto, is at 29. And they're opposite each other. And so Mars is not quite at 29 degrees yet, but it will be soon. But it's not yet. And so it's slowly creeping up there. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening in the world. It's like a slow bubble. It's like the water is starting to bubble, but it hasn't bubbled over yet. It's getting closer. And that's what it feels like to me right now.
Yeah.
Since the full moon, it's been sort of.
And I accidentally put Pluto as retrograde. Of course, it's not. It's direct.
Thank God.
It was retrograde for a really long time, but it is direct now. So my apologies if I have that marked wrong. So the moon, as we know, is conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And of course, when the moon is in Gemini, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So it's going to answer to Mercury, which it is almost in a trine to. It will be in later. And of course, it's in a trine to the sun, which is also very favorable, very, very nice.
Trines mean things happen easy.
Yeah, in a good way, in an easy flowing way. The other thing that we like to talk about, and if you're new to the broadcast, we talk about the void of course moon. So what does that mean? The void of course moon is when the moon changes sign every 2 days. And so when it reaches the end of a sign and there's no more aspects, Ptolemaic aspects, which is, don't worry about those words, it has a void period. And a lot of times the void can be really short, few minutes, less than an hour. And then sometimes the void of course moon is much longer. And I think that happens on Saturday this week. So what does it mean? It means that the moon just does not have a lot of energy, which means there's not a lot of emotional energy. There's not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of energy, period. So when I talk about void of course moons, which are almost every other day, the void time is the time to respect chill time, meditate, give yourself a break, have a meal. Do not initiate things that you want to have a lot of energy and attention during a void of course moon.
Or if you have a hard conversation, that's the time to have it so that it's less dramatic.
That's what a beautiful thing. If there's somebody that you're like, oh my God, I just don't want to talk to them because they're always going to draw it out or make it dramatic or whatever, you can use the void of course moon to make that things just sail on through because there's just not a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So that's why we pay attention to them. You can use them to your favor. I know it almost sounds manipulative, but it's being wise. It's letting you know what the feeling of the energy is. Like we all know the intensity of a full moon. Like last week was super intense. You felt it before, you felt it after. This is the opposite of that. This is when the moon has almost no energy. That's why we call it void. It's like, I just got to take a break before I switch rooms, going from one sign to the next sign. And let's face it, some changes are very significant.
Yeah.
So this time, and I can't see it, it's so small. But
Okay.
you're going to answer some questions.
I'm going to answer KJ Hart's question.
Okay.
Well, she's been saying that she's been interested in learning about her chart. So what I want to encourage you, KJ, is when you watch a forecast like this, or even right now, is that you look at your chart, because I'll try to help you find things in your chart that help you relate to what's happening right now. Okay. Because remember, like your natal chart is important. Yes. And that's a very important, it tells us all about who you are. What we're doing is a forecast and how the energies this week will interact with your natal chart. Okay. So we'll try to be clear about what that means. And that's what we're doing right now. Because not everybody gets that. Like they think that they go get a natal chart and that's the end of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, that's the very beginning. And that's just the beginning of it, because then after that, all kinds of things, every single day, the moon moves. And that's why we have all the days of the week in this broadcast. Okay.
Right.
And so when you know the weather for the week, you can know these days are going to be intense. Let me keep that in mind when I go to work. Right.
Exactly.
Because everybody's got their own chart and everybody's uniquely affected by the planets.
So since we have some first-time watchers, I'll just explain a couple more things. So what does it mean when the moon is in Gemini? Well, Gemini is an air sign. We call it the twins. Gemini is a great negotiator, great host, great ambassador, intellectual, really good at bringing out interesting conversations with people. And they're the twins, which sometimes means you're going to be doing things twice. Yes, when I started doing this deck, I had to do the first deck twice. When I was doing something else, I ended up having to do things twice. When we have things in Gemini, we sometimes have to do things twice. Hopefully the second time takes less time and you do it better and faster. So there's a gift in it if you try not to get too pissed about it.
Right.
And of course, Gemini's air, which is thought. They're real thinkers. And of course, they're ruled by Mercury, which is the sign of communication.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, Monday's looking like an okay day so far. Hopefully you're having an okay day. If your time's been really intense, somebody else in a different thing said that they've had some really intense experiences in this year. It's probably because you have some strong Capricorn placements or Cancer placements, because Pluto's been there, and Pluto can kind of be intense, as I described in the meditation, is that Pluto intensifies things, okay? And Pluto's been part of the game all the time, but if you have placements somewhere nearby, like I have Saturn at 29 degrees Cancer, which is directly across the sky, and when things are across the sky, it's kind of like, and things kind of pull on each other and can feel super intense.
And with the moon conjunct Jupiter, that conversation, the moon represents emotion, right? We all know that we're part water. The moon affects the tides. And Jupiter makes everything bigger. Jupiter is generally considered the planet of luck, of good times, big things. It rules Sagittarius, but it also rules
Jupiter.
Is it Pisces?
Yeah,
Pisces, right?
Yeah. But mostly
Neptune
I think of it
Pisces,
as with Sag.
Everybody has almost two rulers except for Libra, which has just Venus.
Yeah, it's because traditional and modern ruler. That's why.
Right. So on Tuesday.
So Tuesday, I noticed there was a grand trine with the moon and Mercury and Saturn. What does that mean, Hollis? Well, a grand trine is like easygoing of things,
kisses from the universe,
and it's suddenly an emotional experience might get easier to talk about or easier to express, especially because Mercury's involved, the moon is involved, it's in Cancer, so moon's in its rulership, and Saturn's in Pisces, it's retrograde, but I feel like it's still a trine, so whatever emotional thing that you need to express, if there's something you need to express emotional, Tuesday's a really good day for it. Tuesday's emotional healing, and emotional expression. That's the biggest thing I see on that day. Now, I will tell you that all week long, slowly, like just today, I was walking into my doctor's appointment, and this woman was about to cross the street, and this van pulled up, but then he stopped because he realized she was going to cross, and she got mad and flipped him off, and they're like doing all this, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, Mars and Cancer opposite Pluto, okay? Like, and that's exactly what's happening, is like occasionally you might see eruptions like that, which is kind of what we're seeing in the world too, on the world scale, in reflection to the wars, because Mars is the ruler of war, and it is the planet of conflict, and Pluto is about power and control, so it's kind of like pulling on each other. And so it's either conflict or control, and that's exactly what happened when I witnessed on the way into the doctor's office. So maybe what you might also witness other people around you with that occasionally this week, and it will just spark and then go away. It will just spark and go away like that, and that will be happening most of the week.
Yeah, with the grand trine in water, hopefully, it moves quickly, and the blessings, there can be a lot of blessings that come with grand trines. And of course, we continue to have the minor trine that we've had all month with Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. What does that mean? Well, again, a minor trine is all about blessed energy. So there's a really sweet conversation happening between those. Pluto, transformation, Uranus, revolution and change, and Neptune, dreams and visions. So really clear that dreams and visions and notions of the future are fluid, shall we say. And Neptune is in its home sign. So that's powerful. And the other thing that's just happened is that the moon has come home to Cancer. And of course, the moon is rules Cancer, the crab, right? And so what do we know about Cancer? They can be very sensitive. They are usually very intellectual. Um, Home and family is really, really important to them. They want everybody to get along. And think about how you feel when you come home. You just want to relax, take it easy, kick your feet up, get your comfortable clothes on, eat your favorite food, sit in your favorite place. So that's where the moon is. And of course, the moon is waning. It's a waning gibbous moon. And then the other thing that's happening with the moon is that it's square the nose. What does that mean? Squares are action, squares are decisions, squares are, they can be challenging because they require this or that, not the same old. It's a choice, a decision, a direction. And so North Node represents future destiny, your path. South Node can be your past, even your past lives. So don't be surprised if someone walks in from your future or from your past. If there's people that are asking, you're being asked to meet people, take the meeting.
Yeah. And so that's the 20th, that's Tuesday. And the other thing I wanted to say is when we say rules, what we mean is so when the moon rules Cancer, that means if you look at the whole chart, it is the strongest planet compared to the other planets. Okay. So, like, if it's in its fall or in its detriment, okay, that means it's not really that strong. Okay. But when it's really strong, when it's in its rulership or if it's exalted. Okay. So the moon in Cancer is in its rulership. It's strong. But Mars in Cancer is not. So the conflict may not be as effective as they may think it is, or may not be exactly what you had imagined. And then with Pluto and Capricorn, it's way more grounded and less intense. I think it's intense in a different way. It's intense around the system and around the way we do things. So we're seeing it a lot in our government and stuff. But but I think Mars in Cancer tends to be like throwing a fireball in water. Right? Now I was looking at this and I was like, oh, this day will probably be intense. Okay. This is Wednesday. So out of all the intense days for the week, I'm going to say Wednesday. Okay. Because you got the moon and Mars are conjunct in Cancer. Okay. So that's the moon is in its rulership, and that means emotions are going to rule. Okay. Because it's the strongest planet in the chart right now. Okay. And so it's going to wound things up, and people are going to have emotional reactions to conflict. Okay. And that's going to create conflict. So they'll have emotional reactions. Things are going to escalate very quickly. And they're both in a square to the sun, which is in Scorpio. And Scorpio answers to or speaks to Mars and Pluto, which are also part of this T square. Right. So that's just going to be like, I just feel like this is the intense day. This is the intense day. So, if you have something emotional to deal with, try to deal with it before or after this. But Wednesday is going to be the intense day. I'm hoping that the wars don't break out any more than they already are. And, that we can all, but whatever's happening, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. And I constantly remind myself of that. But Pluto is in a trine to the south node, so there is something in relation to power and the past, and there is something in relation to our life path, which is Uranus over there. So there are good parts of this conflict. Something good will come out of this conflict. What? I'm not sure, but we might see conflict on Wednesday.
Yeah, the Mars and the moon, that combo right there opposite Pluto is just
it feels really intense, especially since they're the rulers of Saturn.
Yeah.
So they kind of speak to it in a way that's kind of scary.
Kind of like, whoa, okay, it's a lot. That's a lot. Happy birthday to all the Scorpios.
Oh no, Barbara.
But when the sun does that, damn, that's my birthday. I need a break from intense feelings.
I'm sorry, Barbara. Yeah,
well,
you know what?
This too shall pass.
Yes.
Nothing lasts forever.
Celebrate your birthday on the weekend.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Is it Saturday or Sunday? Well, let us get to it.
Yeah.
There's a lovely void of course moon that takes the chill and just makes it a nice day to relax. I think it's on Saturday, but let's just get one day at a time.
Yeah.
Okay?
So of the intense days, I'm going to say Wednesday, Thursday could be particularly intense. The moon does move into Leo and it's still technically opposite Chiron.
So what happens now is we go from a grand trine in water, which is all about feelings and emotion, to a grand trine in fire, which is like, all right, let's do it. And it's Venus. It's Venus. So doing it might just be the answer, you know?
Yeah.
North node and the moon.
Right. And so, yeah, the moon, and I can see there's this little kite here that has to do with that grand trine that Bright Hawk's talking about with the moon. And but we still have that T square of that conflict in the background, probably that had really intensified the day before. But the energies could shift a little bit on Thursday, but I still feel like it's going to be pretty intense. Although it looks like maybe in the morning we'll have a void moon a little bit, but it's not very long.
No, it's pretty short.
Yeah.
And, 2 minor trines and a grand trine. That's pretty blessed chart on Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have that double T square.
Hopefully it feels like a blessing. Hopefully it feels like,
that square with the that T square with the sun in Scorpio makes me a little concerned. I'm glad that it kind of breaks up by Friday.
Yeah, because it dominates the beginning of the week, but then it finally
starts to release. This is why I was saying, Barbara, celebrate your birthday on the weekend. Hopefully it will be a little less intense, a little less just sensitive. And with the biggest challenge in the sky, in my opinion, is the Yod, which is pointing at Mercury and Scorpio. So it might just mean a little bit about not saying things that we know could hurt somebody, because that's generally Mercury and Scorpio anyway. So that's like most of the theme this week is we could say things that are really hurtful to people. And with this Yod, that could come up if you didn't already resolve it, but hopefully you'll be able to resolve it by the time we get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully the apologies will happen or whatever, but I do see that is related to old wounds, and it is related to making wrongs right. So, if you need to apologize for something you said earlier in the week, go ahead and do that, especially on Friday, Saturday, over the weekend. But the weekend does calm down otherwise. Okay. So that's really.
Yeah. And the aspects with Chiron brings healing. Chiron is the wounded healer.
Right.
So the moon is in a trine to Chiron and a sextile to Jupiter. So hopefully, again, you have those conversations, you feel deep healing, you're grateful. Now, when the moon is in Leo, of course, is ruled by the sun, and it's a fire sign. So the moon is going to answer to the sun. The sun is in Scorpio in a water sign. So that's not exactly comfortable. And when and of course, Moon in Leo. Leo is all about leadership, taking care, making things work out in a good way for the greatest good of all, integrity, holding a high standard, sociable. These are some of the qualities of Leo.
Yeah, and I noticed that as we move into like Saturday, we have a little bit of a longer void moon on Saturday. And so just to repeat, a void moon is a great time to take a rest or to have that uncomfortable conversation that you don't want to be dramatized or to just do something that's more chill, more relaxed. Don't like start things during Saturday. But it looks like it's most of the day.
Yeah, not only is it void most of the day, it's also in a yod with Pluto and Neptune. So feel free to just meditate on your dreams or, be dreamy. Don't be active. It's not a day to be, I'm going to get so much done today, because that's not a good use of the void of course moon.
Celebrate your birthday on Saturday, Barbara.
Yeah, just have it be nice and chill.
Yeah, relax, do something, maybe go out to dinner. But yeah, so it's really a nice time to just chill, and it will, I've traveled during a void moon and I found it to just be chill. Like nothing really happens. It just
And
goes.
then as soon as it went direct, about a half hour later, you could feel the intensity turn back on, and it was like, whoa.
Uh-oh.
So be mindful at 4 p.m. Saturday.
Right. But, and then as we move into Sunday, some of the energies might amp up next week, but we'll talk about that next week. There is another grand trine here in water, so that's about healing with Mars, Mercury, and Neptune. So this is more emotional healing, which is really good, And with Venus in a trine to the North Node, I feel like, we're making movement forward. Progress is happening.
Yeah, and now the moon is in Virgo. So Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, isn't it? Virgo is ruled, yes, by Mercury and Chiron. And so when the moon is in Virgo, it means that it's answering to Mercury in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. So moon in Virgo. Virgo is a sign of nurturing. It's a sign of solutions. It's often a sign for nurses. It's earth sign, of course. And so Virgos like to make sure everything's taken care of. The solutions are accounted for. Everybody's needs have been met. Makes a Virgo very happy. And so that's what's going on when the moon is in Virgo. We all feel these. This is why I talk about the moon, because everybody feels it when it goes into these different signs and places. Do we have any new questions?
Nope. Okay. Just big love. Jamie said hi. And so I think that's pretty much the most important thing is so
it should be a nice weekend.
Yeah. So, just Wednesday, Thursday could be a little intense, but outside of that, most of the week is pretty good. I don't know why we're so shadowed. That's strange.
Because it seems to be clicking in and out. Weird.
It's a little strange. Yeah. So, Wednesday, Thursday are the really intense days, but the rest of the days are, are pretty good. The weekend. So if you got something coming up this week, just kind of sit on it until the weekend. Saturday's a really great day to deal with anything that you just want to be chill. Okay. And that's pretty much where we are for the week. And I'm gonna shuffle some cards, some astrology, some tarot cards, and do a little reading for us in the here and now for this week. Okay.
Alice usually pulls 3 cards, one for the past, one for the present, one for the future, as they're shuffling. And the Love is Love deck is created by, each card is created by a different LGBTQ artist. They're really cool. They're really beautiful. So what do the cards have to say this time? I always find it fascinating as it reflects often the reading of astrology.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And so this first card here is the Four of Wands. This is about relationships, how we've come together with other people in the past, how we've connected. This is particularly about love relationships, also other committed relationships. So it could be like business or sometimes friends commit to each other. And that's pretty much what this card is all about. It's the Four of Wands. And it's to remind you of your intentions and your commitments. And that's exactly what this card is about. This is about your intentions and your commitments in the past. And then related to the here and now this week, this is the Four of Pentacles, which is about our resources, how we save those resources and hold those resources. And that's exactly what this card is about. This is the Four of Pentacles. And you can see the Four of Pentacles is, he's holding on to things. So this is a reminder of to hold your resources, right? And to hold on to certain things that you might need in the future that it's worth saving or holding on and not spending everything at once, right? Okay. And it is literally about money, but it's also about other resources as well. And now going into the future for later this week, this is the Page of Swords. And this is this is about putting actions behind your thoughts. So this is about having that thought and then putting the action behind it and making sure that it happens, making sure that it goes through. So you had the thought, so now follow it through. And that's pretty much what this card is all about. This is a Page of Swords. And so you want this to be going forward in that way. This is meant to push you forward. This is meant to break down the walls, break down things that don't make sense anymore, and change your thinking, especially in relation to your actions. Okay.
Wow.
So again, this is about your committed relationships and how they're related to the here and now, particularly in relation to your savings or your resources and how that has anything to do with the here and now. And as we go forward, make sure that your actions, your thoughts follow your actions. Okay. So that's really what this is about, is that your thoughts and actions can go together. And that's where we'll be. And that's for this week.
Wow. I find that fascinating because it looks so much like the reading.
Yeah.
First part of it is like Venus.
Yeah.
What do you value? And,
Yeah.
And then that Grand Trine in Fire that we have, which is a great way to take action. What do you need to take action on?
Yeah. Mars is pushing you to take action right now. If you're not feeling it, I just wonder why. So, there's got to be some astrological thing going on. But most of us are feeling like pushed, like there's something behind us pushing us, and that's Mars.
And the truth is, this is when I'm going to say, if you really want to know more, get a reading with Hollis. It's a great gift for yourself. All of us need help on the, how do I read this map? What does this mean? What should I lean into and what should I let go of? Remember, the moon is waning right now. So this is the time to what is it we need to let go of? What was your intention during the new moon? And now as we approach another new moon, what are we shedding from the full moon we just had last week? So it's a time to have resolution with things. Next week will be the new moon and another opportunity to set intentions. So we wish you all the very, very best. It's been great doing it live because it's fun to see who's listening and get your...
You're welcome, Bianca. You're so welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you hung out for the whole time. Hopefully it wasn't too hard. And, if you have Capricorn placements, and the only way to know is to look at your chart, find Capricorn and see what's in there. See and everybody has Capricorn in their chart. Everybody has Mars in their chart. Everybody has Libra in their chart. All the things are in your chart. It's a matter of where and how strong they are. Okay. So astrology is much more complicated than the weekly horoscope we feel. And if you don't resonate with that, I totally get it. It's not always very accurate because it's generalized. It's not really for everyone. Just like this forecast is not for, it might be more intense for some people. We try to make it as well-rounded as possible, but it could be more intense for some people and less intense for others. Okay. And that will depend on your placements. That will depend on where things land in your chart. Okay. So if you have Cancer or Capricorn placements, things are going to be a little intense. Okay. Amplified or intense. And then if you have Libra or Aries placements, you might be feeling things as well, but not as intensely as people with Cancer and Capricorn placements. So
in any case, we wish you all the very, very best. We hope you have a great week. Many thanks for your comments. Thanks for subscribing. That helps a ton. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week.
bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.